60% of American adults have placed a bet within the last calendar year, which means that the majority of the population is now gambling. Everywhere you look, you're going to see advertisements for gambling, specifically sports betting, but sometimes online casino as well. There's all types of promotional offers, and you're going to notice that all your friends are seeming to talk about gambling nowadays. It's become a topic that is very, very popular. And it's kind of seen as normal now to gamble and abnormal to choose to not gamble. So, what I want to talk about here today is if you do want to stop gambling and you know that it's something that you don't want to be a part of, how can you say no to a bet when all of your friends are seemingly gambling? My name is Rob and I'm a recovering compulsive gambler. I made my last bet on November the 12th of 2022, and now I create content online talking about the truth of gambling addiction, gambling, and the gambling industry. So, if any of that's of interest to you and you want to learn more about how to stay safe out there, smash that subscribe button because that's exactly what I'm trying to help you do here on my channel. Now, if all of your friends are talking about their parlays, they're talking about what games they're gambling on tonight, it might feel really difficult to say no, and I get it. I mean, my friends never gambled quite like I did, but they were definitely gambling themselves and still do. I mean, me making content hasn't turned off the majority of people from gambling, nor is that my intended purpose. I'm here to help people who want to quit. But, the majority of people can gamble normally, or in a way that it's not going to ruin their life. There's no such thing as safe gambling, but there's a way of gambling where, you're not going to end up in crippling debt. And so to that portion of people, I'm not really, I don't have all that much to offer besides the truth about the gambling industry. But when someone comes up to you and they say, hey man, what are you gambling on tonight? Do you want to take this bet? Do you want to take action on the other side and bet against each other? If you're trying to quit gambling, it could be really difficult for you to say no to that, especially if it's a friend that you're really close with. You don't want to look uncool or abnormal. So I get it. It puts a lot of social pressure on you. And then there's also the pressure of maybe the fact that you do actually want to do it, but you know that you need to quit to live a happier life because maybe you're someone who can't gamble like other people, like myself. But if you find yourself in that situation, I want to give you 3 things that you can say or 3 tips to help you get through it, because it can feel really difficult to go against the grain and make a decision that seems unpopular. But if you know that at the end of the day, it's going to leave you better off, it's fully worth it. So the very first thing that you can say to someone, if you're not fully willing to tell them, hey, I'm quitting gambling, is money is a little bit tight this week. It's no surprise that people are struggling with the economy the way it is. I mean, inflation's on the rise still, people are struggling, and the wages have not gone up. So if you tell a friend that, hey, I'm actually just not trying to spend the money on this because I don't want to lose it, I need it for my budgeting, for my rent, for my groceries, that should be a viable explanation for why you're not gambling that day. And if your friend tells you something like, hey man, you could pay for your groceries and your rent if we win, you can tell them, yeah, well, I'd rather have the guarantee that I'm not homeless than the possibility of having both when I'm not supposed to win. But, that's a different conversation maybe. The second thing that you can say is that you're on a break from gambling. How about we do something else instead? Because it can feel really overwhelming to tell your friend, hey, I'm addicted to gambling, I have a gambling problem, or I quit gambling, because those are all very final, very firm statements. But if you say you're on a break from gambling, that'll make sense to the majority of people. Because for a lot of us, even the people that aren't problem gamblers, if you're gambling, you're going to have experienced a frustrating loss at some point, and likely a string of losses. So if you're telling someone that you're taking a break from gambling, they're going to be able to resonate with that. That will relate with them, because they've probably been through a situation where they thought, man, I need to take a break because this is really frustrating. Even if it doesn't become a full-blown problem, there's frustration involved with loss that is very common to every single person who's placing bets. And so telling someone that you're taking a break should be a valid explanation for why you're not placing a bet that given day. And the third thing that you can tell them is the truth, is that you don't want to gamble anymore. And this is a tougher conversation to have, but one that'll have lasting effects. If you tell your friend, hey, I don't gamble anymore because I'm not happy when I do it. It doesn't make me feel good anymore. It makes me feel frustrated, angry, tired, irritable, or it has devastating financial consequences on me. That's something that a good friend should respect. And even if you're surrounded by people, say you're living in a house with 3 roommates and all 3 roommates are placing bets, you can tell them, hey, I'm just not going to place these bets. It doesn't mean they have to stop, even if they should. It just means that you are going to stop. And if that creates a rift between the three of you or the four of you, that means that maybe your relationship wasn't that valuable to begin with. If you're very honest with people and they don't treat you the way that you deserve to be treated, there's no reason in continuing to keep them around. I mean, if you're gambling right now solely because of the opinion of others about you, that's telling you that maybe you don't like gambling so much. Maybe you just like looking cool and blending in with the group. And there's not a ton of value in doing that over the long term. You're going to eventually find that your interests and hobbies are becoming narrowed, and you're not really pursuing the things that you care about. But again, that's a little bit deeper than I wanted to dive in this video. Just be honest with people, guys. If you're scared of how to tell your friends, if you're unsure of how to tell your friends, just say, hey, listen, when I've been gambling, here's XYZ things that have been happening and why I want to stop. So in my case, I would say, hey, guys, I don't gamble anymore because I went into debt 6 times because of gambling. I don't want to do it again. It was so stressful for me and it consumed me. I only cared about placing bets for 6 to 8 hours a day. All I cared about was whether I was going to win or lose money. And when you waste that much time, you lose a lot of productive capacity. You lose all that time from your life and you can't get it back. So I don't want to waste another second on something that's going to bring me down. And if you tell your friends that, because I've done it, they will, if they care about you, understand. And, maybe it creates an awkward situation in the beginning where they're like talking about their bets. They see you come in the room and they stop talking altogether. But at the end of the day, that's probably just their effort at trying to help you with something that you told them, right? Not everyone knows how to handle a situation like that, but honesty is always the best policy. Another really important thing to take away from this is that if you tell someone that you don't want to gamble and they get angry with you, that doesn't mean that you're wrong. That means that maybe they were excited to spend time with you, or they're having a gambling problem themselves and kind of wanted you to take some of the blame or share some of the blame if things go poorly, because I certainly did that. There were times when I wanted my friends to gamble with me so that I wasn't, 1, lonely, but 2, so that when I lost, if I lost, I would feel better about it because I could say, hey, at least we had a fun time hanging out. It was kind of an excuse. So don't be someone else's excuse solely because that'll make them feel better if being involved with the gambling itself is something that's going to drag you down. And I hate to sound like one of those anti-drug commercials, right, with the just say no, but they had something going with that. I mean, it does sound a little bit tacky that, you could be in a social situation where all of your friends are wanting you to do something and you go against the grain. But I think it actually creates a more valuable relationship when you're honest with people. And if you go against the general group, so what? That doesn't mean that you hate them. It doesn't mean that you don't want to be around them or associate with them. It just means that on the topic of gambling, you want to do something different. And that's fully okay. So when I'm speaking from this perspective, I'm talking specifically to a younger audience because I know how popular gambling has become, especially in college and in high schools. And people are gambling younger than ever because all of their streamers are doing it. It's become normalized. So what I'll tell you is, it's going to suck. You're going to feel isolated, but you're really not. We like to play things up in our heads and make things more important than they actually are. And when it comes to the topic of not wanting to gamble, you not wanting to gamble doesn't mean that you're now a social outcast. It just means that you're not a gambler. So remember that being honest is always the best policy. To sum up, the 3 things that you can say are, the budget's tight this month, I'm taking a break, or I've quit gambling because it's no longer something I enjoy. If you're not comfortable with any of these 3 things, I don't think that you're ready to stop gambling, is my honest opinion. But if I'm wrong and you're just looking for a better way to say it, please let me know down in the comments below how you would go about this situation. If a friend asked you to gamble, but you didn't want to anymore and you didn't want to upset the friend. If you found this video helpful at all, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who you know is trying to stop gambling but is maybe having a hard time. If I can do anything for you, please let me know again down in the comments below. You can send me a message. I will do my best to get back to you. Thank you for watching this video, and I know that we're going to keep getting happier and healthier one day at a time.